Okay, fair warning, this video is gonna be boring for some of you, okay? This is gonna be in-depth, everything you could possibly wanna know about moving to the London area. I'm sitting here with my webcam and my laptop, and we're gonna do a few things. One, we're gonna go neighborhood by neighborhood through this entire city and just tell you some of the things I know so you can figure out where you wanna live. Two, we're gonna talk about what kind of house you get in each price range. And three, we're gonna talk about the schools. And then at the end, we're just gonna go over a few things that you need to do before you actually start looking at homes. This is supposed to be a super long, in-depth, probably boring, all in everything you need to know, okay? So let's go ahead first here and start looking at the map. This is London, okay? For those of you who aren't from here, we're right between Detroit and Toronto, smack dab in the middle. There is a river that runs through London, and this is important. This is a good dividing line for the city, okay? So this is the Thames River right here. It's spelt Thames. It's not pronounced Thames. It's named after the river in London, England, the River Thames. This is London, Ontario. It's the Thames River, okay? So you'll notice that the river runs this way and then splits into two forks, okay? The North Fork and the South Fork of the Thames River. That's gonna be important a little later on. Typically speaking, anything north of this river and north of the North Fork right here, all this area, that's a good area, okay? So there's different pockets in there that are gonna be good, and maybe there's a couple streets that aren't amazing, but you're doing pretty well, typically, if you're buying in this northern part of London, okay? All this area here. And we're gonna go over everything in great detail. Now, south of the river, it gets a little interesting, right? So southwest, Riverbend, Byron, Talbot, Lambeth, Botswick, Westmount. These are all pretty good areas. And then as you work your way east, they get less and less good, but still not too bad. Like White Oaks and Westminster, these are blue collar areas and houses are a bit cheaper there. The school districts aren't as good, which we'll go over. But in terms of safety and stuff, like it's fine. It's just a little more blue collar. Maybe a little bit grungier than other areas, but I wouldn't say it's bad. And then the East End has always been known as a rough area, okay? Now, again, I've talked about this in other videos. People get mad. No, not every single little area east of Adelaide is terrible, but there's more areas that are a little rough on the east than anywhere else in London, okay? So when we say east of Adelaide and the east is rough, we're talking about the area mostly between these two forks of the river, okay? So Stony Creek, Northridge up here, that's not what we're referring to when we say east of Adelaide and the east is rough. That's north of the river. We're not talking about that. What we're mostly talking about is the area between the two forks of the river. Now, below the South Fork, it's a little hit and miss, right? So some people will tell you that Pond Mills is terrible and ghetto, and they'll say it about Glencairn, and I've said it before in my other video, because there is sometimes some wild news reports from those areas. But if you just walk down a street in Glencairn at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a random day of the week, you'll be like, oh, these are nice little starter homes. And you're right. It's really not too bad, but there is a couple areas, like I remember in my video, I'll put it up on the screen, on the rough areas of London. Like I did point out, these are townhome government housing complexes around here that are pretty rough. But for the most part, it's not too bad. However, the school districts still aren't great down there. So let's dive in here. I'm gonna start in the northwest corner, and I'm just gonna work my way through the city. So this box right here, you see, this is Fox Hollow. That's what this area of the city is. This didn't exist 10 years ago, really? I mean, there was a few streets that are inching up on 20 years old, but for the most part, this is all new development. Most of these homes, all through here, were built in the past 5 years, okay? This is what you get in the area. You get 35-foot wide lots, which is just how they build them nowadays. They're small lots. They're narrow and they're long, your houses, but you're getting all 2 stories. They're all really new, so they don't need a new roof, they don't need new furnace, they don't need new AC, they got granite countertops, they got ensuite washrooms. Sometimes they have multiple ensuite washrooms for the upper levels, which is all these nice things they put in new homes. If you are looking to move to the London area and you need some help making that move and finding the property that's right for you, this is what I do for a living. I help people move to London and purchase property and help people in London sell their homes. So feel free to reach out. That's my phone number right there on the screen. Feel free to shoot me a text or give me a call and we can just kind of take it from there. But you're definitely getting smaller land, okay? Now, a lot of people don't even want a big backyard anymore, so it might not bother you. But you're going to find that a lot in this area. Roughly, they're 1,800 square feet to about like 2,300 square feet. Okay, so they're not huge 2-stories, most of them. They're small, modest 2-story family homes that are new. Okay, now as for school districts, so they just built the brand new Northwest Public School. I believe, it's not on the map yet. I believe it's right here at Fair Oaks, or maybe it's at Jordan Boulevard, right near one of these en routes here. We don't have a rating yet for that school because they just opened. I'm recording this early September, like it just opened a couple days ago. So there's no test results yet from previous students, but it should be a decent area. I think it'll probably be around average or a little higher. It shouldn't be below average. Most of this area is detached, 2 stories. But if you go down to like Capri Crescent and along here, you do get some townhomes that are also brand new, that are reasonably priced, like under $600,000. So besides the new school, there's also a couple others in Fox Hollow. So there's this one right here you'll see on the map, St. Gabriel Catholic School. It's hit and miss with the Fraser Institute as to whether they list the Catholic ones or not. This one's not listed, so I can't give you a ranking based on province-wide testing of how students do, which is what the Fraser Institute measures, because it's just not on their website for some reason. So I don't have a lot of information on that website. There's also Sir Arthur Currie up in this area somewhere. It's 7.5 out of 10 rating, which is a good school, okay? So most of the schools in this area doing pretty well. The new one I think will do well as well. So let me take a second to show you a few homes. And this one right here, okay, here's the selling price, okay? I'll put this in later. I don't actually know what I'm showing you yet as I'm talking about this. I'll do it in the editing. But this, I'm just kind of showing you basically what the price ranges are in this area, what recent sales are going for. I mean, I'll tell you right now, without even looking at the MLS, they were going for $1.1, $1.2 million back when it was like really hot. Now you get a house that's a couple years old, it's resale, it's 18, 19, 2,000 square feet, something like that, pretty new. You could probably pick that up for $950 right now. So, I mean, that's not the end of the world. That's not terrible, especially when you're coming from the GTA, when you can't get anything for under 1.2 million that's detached. Here you're getting a 2-story detached with a garage that's basically new. For like $950. So that's really not bad. For a lot of people that want something new, relatively new, I direct them to this area here. All right, next up, Sunningdale. So right beside Fox Hollow, right here, we have Sunningdale. So it's sandwiched between Sunningdale Road and Fanshawe Park Road, and then Richmond Street right here, and Wonderland Road right here. In terms of location, this is pretty awesome because you can just hop on any of these major thoroughfares and get yourself across the city. Traffic can be rough in London, so something like this is really nice to have. Richmond Street is a major street that can take you to Masonville Mall, which is the biggest and the nicest mall we have in our area. In fact, this whole region has all the commercial needs that you have, whether it's Best Buy or Staples or clothing stores in the mall or whatever, the Apple stores in the mall there, everything's here, the movie theater, okay? And then if you follow Richmond down, you get to Western University, you get to one of our hospitals here, St. Joseph's, down here, and then you get to downtown. So a lot of people that work at the hospitals like to live in this area, that work at Western University, some of the teachers, the professors love to live in this area, and it gets them to downtown if you're going there for a hockey game or a theater play or something relatively quickly. It's a good spot to be in. Most of Sunningdale is large, I would call them executive 2-story homes. These are like 3,000 square feet. They're beautiful homes, and they're built, at this point, what are we inching up on? 25 years now, mostly? of maybe 30 years for a lot of these homes in the Sunningdale area. Depends on the street. Some of them are a lot newer. Like if you go up here on Water Crescent, like they're much newer than the other ones, and they're freaking massive. Like these are 3,500 square feet or larger, and these can sell in some markets for $2 million. But we will show you some cheaper ones in a sec. Another big thing about this area is, of course, Sunningdale Golf Course up here. This is a privately owned, prestigious golf course. A lot of ex-hockey players have memberships here that are from the London area or played in the London area, like Drew Doughty, who owns a big property here, and Corey Perry, and a lot of guys like that. And there's some good parks as well. So you see this, by the golf course, you see this walking trail right here? This will take you away from the traffic. It's paved. It's nice. You're surrounded by trees and a little river you're crossing over. It'll take you all the way down into Medway Valley Heritage Forest, and you can take it all the way down to Western University if you really wanted, and then over to downtown, everywhere. I mean, it all connects. So it's nice to have this in your neighborhood. Go for a walk with the dog, get away from the traffic. It's peaceful. There's birds. There's deer sometimes. It's a nice area. Okay, now I want to show you a house that sold recently to kind of give you an idea of what you can get a house for in Sunningdale now that the market is down, okay? So look at this house right here. So this is over 3,000 square feet. You're 25 years old, so you're a little dated, but not crazy. Like, it's a nice house. You could easily live here as it is without doing updating. Some people will tell you that the kitchen is just so out of date, they gotta change it, and that's fine. But really, it's not bad. This house right here, recently sold for under $1.1 million, which is wild. For, in 2022, these would have went $1.3, $1.4 million. This sold for under 1.1, and you're getting in a wonderful area of the city. Now, I'll tell you right now, the downside you're going to find about this area is the property taxes. This is one of the more expensive areas of the city, just in general, including property taxes. So you're a little over $8,000 a year in property taxes for this house. It's not uncommon to see these around $10,000, $11,000 a year, depending on what street. A really nice area of this street also is if you go up north of Sunningdale Road, over near the golf course, you get these streets all around here, like Torrey Pines Way, and what else we got? Sawgrass Link. All these around here. It's more common to see these closer to $1.5 million, and the property taxes to be $10,000, $11,000 a year. Okay, so I'm going to continue my march east across the north of London. So again, this here is Richmond. Hop over Richmond, you get to a very interesting area called Uplands. Uplands, again, we're going box by box here. So it's between Richmond and Adelaide, and then between Fanshawe and Sunningdale for the most part. There is this newer part up here that jets out above Sunningdale, and I would include that in this as well. This is an area, first off, great school district. So, what's the name of this school again? Jack Chambers, that's it. Jack Chambers is usually over a 9 out of 10 rating from the Fraser Institute. Have I explained the Fraser Institute to you yet? Because I keep referencing it. I'm going to explain it more when we get to the school area. But essentially, it's a nonprofit organization. One of the many things they do is you know how when you were in grade 3 and grade 6 in Ontario, you had to do the EQAO testing? You had to do a big test that every kid in Ontario has to do. So the Fraser Institute ranks all the schools based on that test. And then they kind of average it out for the school for how they do, and then that's how they get their rating, okay? So you're literally ranking schools based on how well students do on tests, okay? Jack Chambers always does great. It's always like an 8.9, 9, 9.1 out of 10. Every few years they recalculate it. It's usually around the same. In this area, you get similar homes to Sunningdale, I would say, but they're a little bit smaller and a little bit older, okay? They might be, I don't know, 5, 10 years older. The styles can be a little bit different. Let me show you a few here. Okay, I want to show you this one. I think this is a really good example of what I'm talking about with this area. So the year built here is 1987, okay? So it's roughly my age. So it's a little bit older than most of the Sunningdale homes, but it's a beautiful 2-story home that just needs a bit of updating. Now, check out the price difference. A lot of those Sunningdale ones are gonna sell for 1.1 or more. This sold for under $1 million. That's wild. Under $1 million in this area, in this school district. It does need a bit of updating. If I flip through the photos, I think you'll agree that this doesn't need, like, it's not like it's unlivable. I mean, some of the flooring I'm not a big fan of. They could update some baseboards, put some new paint in there. I haven't walked through it, so I can't tell you the furnace, roof, AC, those expensive things. Maybe those were all due. I don't know. But you're seeing a lot of these in this area now go under $1 million. I honestly think this area has good bang for your buck. I think it's a really good area to purchase in London, especially now while the market is down. I think you get a lot of house for your money. And it's a really nice area. And all the things that I said location-wise about Sunningdale, I mean, obviously they're true for this too. It's right beside it. So you can go down to, 3-minute drive from your house to Masonville Mall. Whereas a lot of people that need to get to this mall, if you live in Byron, your choices are to go down to White Oaks Mall or this one up here. They're both far away. Like, this is a premium spot location-wise to live, in my opinion. Now, quick side note here. I like to always point this out. There are, over on this edge off of Richmond, some luxury areas. This little area right here is a condominium area of detached homes. One of these sold for $7 million the last few years. Not going to tell you who bought it, but it's just there's some really cool large homes. And then the street up here on Northcrest has huge lots. Huge lots. So if that's what you're looking for, you can find some around there. Now, let's go north of Sunningdale to this little area I mentioned earlier. So this is still Uplands up here, but it's this like new little area they built a few years back, 5, 6, 7 years now probably. Zafman, Maddox Way, Jack Pine. You get a whole bunch in this area that are pretty nice homes. Now, the only thing is the school district is a little different. You have to go to a different school than the one we've talked about for this area. It's still a decent school. It's got an average rating from the Fraser Institute, but it's not the Jack Chambers School. But personally, it wouldn't bother me. They still perform a little bit above average usually. The school is called Centennial Central, and right now it's got a 7 out of 10 rating for the Fraser Institute. So again, 6 is the average. You're at 7. So it's an above average school still. It's not 9. It's not 9.1 like Jack Chambers. Still a really good school. Later in the video, I'm going to show you where not to live. I'm going to show you some of the areas that are rough in the London area. I'm going to show you some areas that are really good bang for your buck. Like if your budget's like $500,000-$600,000, I think these are dynamite places to buy. And yeah, we're gonna go over what you can get in each price range as well, which I'm also kind of doing as I work through each area here. So stay with me as we go. Again, if you're bored, you can skip around. I'll try and put chapters down below, but if I forget, which I sometimes do, just skip around to see where you want to go. We're gonna talk more about the schools later on and everything else. So stick with me here. So just east of Uplands, now you get to Stony Creek, okay? Now, Stony Creek, typically in London, the further east you move, the worse that it is. Not that it's terrible, but it's a little bit worse. So for example, Sunningdale is amazing, and then Uplands is also pretty good. Not quite to the level of Sunningdale. And then we go over to Stony Creek, and it's also a pretty good area, not quite to the level of Uplands. Now here's the thing, so down in so do you see these kind of circular streets right here? So these are a bit newer than most in this area. If you go down here below that, you get a lot of ranches, a lot of back splits, side splits, built in like the 70s to the 90s, kind of in that range. And they're gonna sell $600,000 to $700,000. So if that's your budget, this is not a bad place to live. You're gonna get 1,200 square feet, you're gonna get 1,000 square feet, something kind of in that range that's a little bit older. If you still want the 2-story, these circular streets up here near the school, Stony Creek Public School, these ones, like this one right here, for example, they're selling between $700,000 and $800,000. They are 2 stories. Now they're small as it comes to 2 stories. Like they're like 1,600 square feet. They're not huge, okay? But they're built in the 2000s. You know what I mean? Like 2006, 7, 8. These were built, so they're a little bit newer, a little bit a different style of construction than what you got in the 70s. Like you get that nice brick 2-story. I think they're good homes, and I think for that budget, it's a pretty good price in terms of what's going on in London, right? Also, you're walking distance from the public school. So Stony Creek Public School usually has an 8 out of 10 rating from the Fraser Institute. They do pretty well. It's a good school, and I think you can get into this area relatively affordable. You're still in North London. I do think it's a bit congested. Like if you look at, I don't know if I have drone footage that can really show it, or GoPro footage or whatever I was doing. They're tight. They're close together. But again, that's just kind of how they build them nowadays. But again, it's a great school district. It's a pretty safe, pretty nice area. If you go north of Sunningdale, are you recognizing a pattern here? If you go north of Sunningdale, they get newer and they get nicer, okay? So again, you're surrounded by woods and a golf course back here. Some of these woods are owned by Sifton Properties, who could one day build houses on it. So you might not always back onto a woods if you're on this side of it, okay? But they're all nice, like Spring Ridge Drive. I mean, you can get these for anywhere between $1 million to $1.2 million for the most part right now. And there is a little bit of a green space with a trail behind you if you're here. So even if they do build houses right here, you've got this little trail kind of separating you, which is really nice. And yeah, and these are 2-story homes. Now you're talking 2010 or later for these being built. Let me show you this one here. So this one's not backing onto the woods or the golf course or the trail. It's one of the inner streets. But this sold for like $960. It was under $1 million. It's got a 3-car garage. You're 2,400 square feet, and it's built in, I think it was 2017. So it's really not old. This is a nice, quiet area. I really like it. The school district here actually isn't Stony Creek. It's Cedar Hollow, which I think is at least as good, if not better, which I'll tell you about that area probably in like 3 to 5 minutes when I get there. But it's a good school. Yeah, so under $1 million, 3-car garage, 6 years old, I think. Is that math right? No, we're inching up on 10 by now. 2017, so you're 8 years old? My God, time flies. But anyways, it's not that old. It's a nice house, and you're getting that for that price. If you are backing onto the woods, you're going to pay a little bit more. Maybe then you are $1.05 million. Maybe you are 1.1. There hasn't been one that sold in a while, but you would pay a premium for that, of course. Over here, you have Forest Hill Park. This and then Forest Hill Woods. This is not going to be anything else. This will be woods. Forest Hill Woods over here is designated as wooded area. It's a parkland. It's nature preserve kind of thing. That's not changing. However, up here, this is owned by Sifton Properties. So they could put some more streets in here or do something else. I mean, are we 5 years away from that? Are we 10 years? Could be 20 years or more away from that. It's a big piece of land, and there is some watershed here that they would have to go through the Conservation Authority. So, I mean, who knows how long that would take, but just heads up, that is owned by Sifton Properties. Okay, I mentioned it before, so I might as well go to this now. Over here, you have Cedar Hollow. It's this little isolated section of homes, northeast London. I'm going to now work my way back across the north to the west, okay? So this area, I love, okay? Do you know why I love it? Many people forget about it, don't know it exists. The houses are relatively affordable, and almost every student that goes to Cedar Hollow Public School is walking distance from the school, which, you know, if you're talking quality of life, you're trying to picture, like maybe right now, you're living in the greater Toronto area, and it's congested, and it's busy, and the houses are expensive, and maybe you can afford to only get in a mediocre school district unless you live in a condo or something, and it's a headache of a place to live. Now imagine yourself, you're down in London. You live in this little section here. Your kid wakes up in the day. You got these for maybe 800 grand. You got a 2-story home. Your kid wakes up. They walk to school by themselves. You don't have to bus them. You don't have to drive them. They just walk. It's down the street. And guess what? It's an amazing school with great teachers. and the students perform well on province-wide testing, okay? And instead of driving for 2 hours a day to work, you drive 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20, 25 minutes to work, depending on where you are, and you're close. Still, like you go down Fanshawe Park Road, I mean, you're probably 7 minutes from the main commercial area, 7 to 10 minutes, where you got the mall and most of the stores. I think that's a great quality of life compared to what you're getting in the GTA. And that includes Hamilton. And even Kitchener is more money than London. Although I think Kitchener can offer a great quality of life, it's more expensive than London still. And it's about the same size. You're also here really close. You see this? This is Fanshawe Conservation Area. So there are mountain biking trails around here. There are 2 golf courses. There are campgrounds. There are walking trails all around here. People like to go fishing here. They like to get out in their canoe on the lake, cast some lines, catch some fish. I'm not a fisherman. I don't know what's in there. I don't know if it's bass or what, but people like to do that. And in that, I mean, what is that, 7 minutes from your house? Less than that if you live here? It's probably 5 minutes, man. Like, oh, there's also Fanshawe Pioneer Village, which is great for the kids. This is an open-air live-action museum. So they have it set up as the pioneers would have been. They have like old homes exactly as they were back then, and they have live actors at Fanshawe Pioneer Village, so your kids can walk in and interact with them and see what it was like in like the early 1800s, which is just a really cool thing. Schools often do a trip here, but it's a great thing to take your kids to as well. And again, it's super close by your house. And just sorry, one more thing. You can see here, there is also walking paths in and around here that connect to some other areas. So, I mean, it's a really nice area. Let me show you some stuff that's sold recently. So this here is one of the more expensive ones that's sold in the area over the last 6 months or so. This sold for $840,000, okay? This house is like 10 to 15 years old. You're looking at 2,500 square feet. So it's the same size as that one in Uplands I showed you earlier, but this sold for $840,000. It's got 3.5 washrooms in it and 4 bedrooms, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna take off in a sec and I'll finish the rest over the course of a number of days. It's a lot of talking. But I want to first show you Northridge. So we talked about Stony Creek. We talked about Cedar Hollow. Excuse me. Right below Stony Creek and beside Cedar Hollow is Northridge. Northridge is a fantastic area, okay? You're going to look at these homes. You're going to go, well, what's so special about it? Because a lot of them, I mean, they're 1960s built homes. They're that older style, side splits, back splits, ranches, stuff like that. There are some 2 stories, but they're smaller 2 stories. They're maybe 2,000 square feet. But it's a wonderful area. Like, I know people, they grew up in this area and then they want, as an adult, as hard as they can to buy a house back in that area. It has a unique little community feel. It sort of feels isolated because it backs onto the river and some walking trails down here. And so no one's really walking down this street except for people that live there. It's nice to have walking trails nearby. The school is a very good school that performs very well. And again, you're like 7 minutes or less to the big mall and the big commercial area. It's just a really good location. So I think this might be a good example of some of the stuff you can get in the area. So this house right here sold for $720,000 very recently, okay? You're looking at close to 1,700 square feet. You can tell from the photos that this was really well taken care of by its owner. It's got a nice detached garage back there. There isn't any obvious wear and tear from the exterior. And then on the inside, it looks, again, well taken care of. Nice flooring that looks updated. Kitchen's not too bad. I mean, I'm just flipping through these photos, looking at them with you right now as we go. Like, it's all taken care of well. This is a nice house, and this is something that you can pick up for $720,000 right now, which, again, the prices have come down quite a bit in London since the recession. That's probably a pretty good deal, if you ask me. And again, you're getting into an amazing school district, and just the community feel in the area is fantastic. Oh, by the way, if you are looking to move to the London area, and you need some help figuring some things out, looking for the house that's right for you, this is what I do for a living, okay? I'm a real estate agent in southwestern Ontario, and London is one of my specialties. This is my phone number right here. You can give it a call if you're looking to purchase a property or sell in the London area, okay? Right here. Is this awkward yet? Okay, so you'll see here, beside Northridge, we have Stonybrook. Now, for the first time in this video, the neighborhood of Stonybrook is not the entire square made by the big roads that surround it. So Stonybrook is bordered by Fanshawe Park Road right here, Adelaide, a little bit of Richmond, and then you'll notice that there isn't actually a connection between these streets and these streets, okay? So Sunnyside has a walking pathway that connects to Amberwood over here, but there's no road. And you'll find that all throughout Stonybrook, there's no direct road that connects you to Masonville. Masonville's down here, Stonybrook's up here, okay? So again, if we look at it on this map, I'll try and see if I can learn how to highlight in the editing, like this area is Stonybrook, this area is Masonville. And they're very different. So Stonybrook is kind of a continuation of Northridge, but maybe upgraded a bit. Most homes are about 10 years newer at the oldest, and then they go all the way into the 90s. So you get like 70s to 90s built homes. You do still get some of those smaller ones that we saw in Northridge. Okay, like maybe I'll put one up on the screen that sold recently. Like this looks very similar to the other one, but you're gonna get a lot more 2 stories as well, of varying sizes, okay? So this one right here is a 2-story, sold for just under $900,000 in the Stonybrook area. It's bigger, it's not as big as it looks in the photo. I find the photo makes it look really big, but this thing was like 1,800 square feet. That's not huge for a 2-story, okay? And then you get some that are the complete opposite. So this one here sold a little bit over $1 million, and this was 2,600 square feet. So much, much different, and now you're getting into these big 2 stories that you did not get in Northridge. But aside from that, it is a very similar feel of a neighborhood to Northridge when you drive around the streets. It does, the homes are kind of a similar age. It's a lot of mature trees. It's a great school district here as well. So this one, it's not Northridge Public School like the last one. This one is Stonybrook Public School. And again, a really high rating. I don't know what it is right now. I'll put it on the screen, but it's usually 8 out of 10 every single time they redo these averages. Really good school. And yeah, you get a wide range from 600 at the lowest in this area all the way up to a little bit over $1 million. I should also note that what's nice is you do get walking trails through Stonybrook here, right? So if you, just like how Northridge had the forest that kind of works its way along the river, you can connect through that forest up into Stonybrook here, and these are all nice walking paths in behind the neighborhood, and of course, they connect down to Masonville as well, which we'll talk about now. So Masonville is a very interesting area because it is all of this you see here on your screen. So there's the newer part, which is just under Stonybrook, and then there's the older part. In the newer part, you're gonna get like right along Sunnyside and all the streets that kind of come off Sunnyside right here. What you're going to find is a lot of homes built in the 90s and early 2000s, okay? They're really nice, large brick 2-story homes. They're beautiful. They really just are beautiful homes. Usually like on the low end, you might get 2,500 square feet, but most of them are gonna be inching up on 3,000 or even maybe just a little bit over 3,000 square feet. They're wider lots too. So nowadays, we talked how they build them like in Fox Hollow on a narrow lot. Your home is longer than it is wider. It's not like that in Masonville. These are gonna be on 60, 70, 80 foot wide lots, depending on which street you're on. And they're gonna also have like that old style of like, we've got a dining room that's like, we got the formal dining room, and then we got an eat-in kitchen, and we've got a formal living room, and then we have a den or a TV room off kind of the kitchen area, and and then upstairs you're gonna have like 4 bedrooms. The only thing is, back then, just FYI, they sometimes built ensuite washrooms, but they weren't massive, and then they sometimes built walk-in closets, but they weren't massive. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind when you're buying older homes. You're not gonna, like nowadays, new builds do an amazing job of giving you this luxurious ensuite washroom with heated floors and double head showers and his and her sinks and all that stuff. A lot of these don't have those. They have out-of-date, older, smaller en-suites. Some will still have bigger ones, but I mean, it's just the way they built them. And same with the closets, just smaller. Anyway, so 90s, 2000s in this area off Sunnyside. If you go to the other side of Richmond, from Richmond over to this forest here, which is Medway Valley Heritage Forest, you get the older section of Masonville. Old Masonville, sometimes it's called. They're built, you're gonna see more in the 80s. So like 1988, 1989, this is a very common age for a lot of this area, okay? I like this area probably the best. I think you get bigger homes in this area, but again, fair warning, a lot of them are really out of date, okay? You know who owns these homes? The people that own these homes are baby boomers who, when they were 28 years old and they had a couple kids, they upgraded and they spent 200 grand or 150 grand on this 3,200 square foot giant 2-story home. And now the kids are moved out and they're retiring and they're moving into old folks' homes, some of them, depending on where you are in the baby boomer generation. And they're selling them for like $1.3 million. Okay? Some people, which this is what blows me away, some people in this area will list high. They'll be like, no, I want 1.5, even though it's very obviously worth 1.3 based on, you know, recent comparables, but they want their money out of it. They're great homes. Like, this is a premium spot to live here. I find a lot of them are bigger on this side, on the old Masonville side. You're gonna see a lot of them on 100-foot wide lots, and you're gonna see a lot of homes that are like 3,200 square feet above grade, 3,500, some of them. Whereas you might be more down to like 2,700, 2,800 on the other side, off Sunnyside. Okay. Forested parks, again, so this is even better than the last ones I mentioned in Stonybrook and in Northridge. This is Medway Valley Heritage Forest. You can take this all the way up to Sunningdale, to the golf course, and around there. You can take it all the way back and around here. You can go anywhere with it. You can go down to the university walking if you really wanted to. There's deer in there, there's beaver in there, there's all sorts of creatures in there. What else do I need to tell you about this area? Oh, of course, the main commercial district of North London is right here too. So this is Masonville Mall, which I've already talked about in this part of the video. It's London's best mall, it's London's biggest mall, and even outside of the mall, it's a big commercial area with Best Buy and Staples and Michaels and all that stuff all around here. And you don't gotta drive to get there. You can literally walk from your area if you live in the Masonville area. So that's really nice. Also, the school district is Masonville Public School. Yeah, this is one of the best schools in London. It's usually over a 9 rating. So that all of the schools in Ontario, and this school's usually like 9.2, 9.3, somewhere in there, which means they're in like the 93rd percentile of schools in Ontario. It's very good school, okay? You're also close to Western University, very close. So if you're a professor and you're working at the university, this is a fantastic spot for you to live. It's gonna be a short drive. Fair warning, these roads during rush hour will be like stop and go traffic, but you're around the corner, so who cares? It's still gonna be a 5-minute drive. And then you got hospital right here. This is St. Joseph's. That's not too far if you work there, and then you're not too far from downtown either, which is really nice. This is a premium spot to live. Okay, now you want to know like a really like luxury area of Masonville? If you go down here, off of Windermere, you get these roads which I never seem to pronounce correctly. Okay, Gloucester, I think is how you're saying that one, and Rydersea Road right here. These are giant homes. This is where you're getting 4,000, 4,500 square feet, maybe 5,000 square feet above grade, and the lot is like 3 of these lots. So you're getting you're getting half an acre of land, you're getting a massive house. I mean, even just the outline on Google Maps, you can see how unbelievably big these homes are. These go really expensive. These ones, you're going for $2 million or even more in some markets, depending on how updated the house is, but just unbelievably beautiful area, okay? Cool, let's move on. Okay, next we got White Hills, and we're gonna do Hyde Park in the same section. So you see Gainsborough Road right here, ignore it. Just ignore it for a second, because this is one of those neighborhoods that goes beyond the major thoroughfares. So it is bordered in the north here by Fanshawe Park Road, which is 22 right there. And Sarnia Road on the south borders both of these neighborhoods. Now, you need to draw an imaginary line, whoops, right down here. And on the right side of it is White Hills, and on the left side of it is Hyde Park. And you might say, Ryan, that's a really random way to draw up the neighborhoods. How do you know? It's the age of the builds, right? So if I were to drop a pin on the map here on Aldersbrook Road and I were to scoot around, you can see that these are old bi-level homes. So these are probably in the 70s or 80s built right here, just by the way that they look, okay? Now if I go back out, okay, and I go drop my pin on Black Acres, just on the other side of Aldersbrook Road, now, okay, that's in the 2000s now. Now we're talking 2010 built for a lot of these. Okay, completely different neighborhood. That's why they call, and even just the age of the tree. Look at this tree here, right? That's a 10-year-old tree. It's not like these old big ones we just saw over on Aldersbrook. See, look at that. The trees tell you everything you need to know. Okay. Hyde Park is a better area than White Hills. However, I have no problems with White Hills. You will see people commenting on some of my videos where I talk about like the rough areas, and they'll be like, what about Limberlost in White Hills? And that's true. Limberlost is a street that is right by the school here, by Banting Secondary School, and I believe the elementary schools around here too. It's low-income housing, and it is kind of rough. Not gonna lie to you, but it's just one little street right here, whereas the rest of it's pretty good. Like, I don't think you're really gonna have any problems if you're living up here on like a sandalwood. You know what I mean? They're also relatively affordable. So, I mean, for a while now, almost 10 years, it's been hard to get like a decent detached home in London, in most of Ontario, for $550. But now, I mean, that's very common in White Hills. In fact, if you get like a really nice one, so this here is like a nice little side split that's been really well taken care of and renovated. This sold for $650, okay? Now, again, even $650, getting a nice house with a nice yard, which this does have, is hard in Ontario, but you can get it in White Hills. And that's renovated. Like, they go cheap. Like, $550 is a very common price in the White Hills area. So, I mean, if that's your budget, I think it's a pretty good spot to live. The schools in this area are okay. I mean, most of them are coming in around the average mark. So 6 out of 10 is the average for Ontario, according to the Fraser Institute. And they're usually coming in around 6. Sometimes a little lower, sometimes 5.5, sometimes 6.2, depending on the year, but they're really not that bad. Now, just a heads up, as we move over to Hyde Park, it's the same schools, really. So you're not gonna get in better schools for spending a little bit more money and getting into Hyde Park. You're just gonna get a newer house. I'll see if I can put some recent sales in Hyde Park up on the screen here when I do the editing. But the small, you can get like really small 2-stories that are like 15, 16, 17, 1,800 square feet. Those usually sell high 6s up to mid $700,000, depending on the quality of home. However, for like a typical 2-story that's around 2,000 square feet, a lot of them are gonna sell in the 800s around the Hyde Park area, and they're gonna be 10 to 15 years old, I would say. If you look closely, there are, in and around here somewhere, some townhomes and stuff like that as well, and you can get those maybe in the high 5s, low 600s, okay? A lot of them are gonna be condos, but not all of them are. One of your main shopping areas in Hyde Park, White Hills area, it's gonna be right here. This is the Hyde Park Plaza, and this is where you're gonna find Canadian Tire, you're gonna find Walmart, you're gonna find Winners, Sport Check, you're gonna find, what else they got in here? Yeah, more than I thought, to be honest with you. Old Navy, they got Bath Depot, they got the Dollar Store, the Bulk Barn, they got a whole bunch of stuff. So this is gonna be one of your main areas. Rona's across the street. But of course, you're not far from Masonville Mall either. So in terms of location, I really like it. So, and again, below Gainsborough Road down here, I was kind of ignoring this part for some reason, but this is all White Hills and Hyde Park as well. All right, so let me talk about Orchard Park or Sherwood Forest. You may have seen me walk around this neighborhood in one of my recent videos where I talked about like really great areas of London. And Sherwood Forest is what it's labeled here on the map. They put Orchard Park down here. It's a phenomenal area with a lot of old homes, super tall trees, big wide lots, and it's right backing onto Medway Valley Heritage Forest as well, okay? This neighborhood has a few things most neighborhoods in London don't have, okay? So one of them is a school district that is #1 in Ontario. Yeah, so Orchard Park Public School is tied for #1 in all of Ontario for how they do on province-wide testing. It's a very good school. Also, they have a lot of, I want to call it old world charm homes, okay? So these are homes. Let me flip through some photos here. So this is a house that sold for under $900,000 recently, which is a really good price for this area. And I'll just let the photos do the talking. Like, this isn't your modern build. This has some old world character to it. It's not even that old. I'm saying old world like it's the 1800s or something. It's not. I mean, they're gonna be probably in the 50s, 60s, 70s, just like the other ones. But I just love the way they're built. And the third thing this area has that other areas don't is the lot size. So this house I'm showing you is built on a 150-foot wide lot, okay? That is like 4 or more lots compared to how they build them in some of the other neighborhoods. So, I mean, that is fantastic. When you walk down the streets, it feels kind of more like a park setting, if I'm honest with you, because there's just so many old, mature trees, lots of different birds and stuff around, and it's just a beautiful feel as you walk around these streets. If you want to know more about this area, I did cover it in the video. Like that's the thumbnail right there. You can go watch that video. I walked around the streets. It's really nice. They range in this area from like 750 on the lowest end, probably up to like 1.5 million. Okay, let's talk Oakridge. Okay, so Oakridge is right here on your map. It's all of this area underneath these train tracks here. And then it's also this part right here. They call this Oakridge Crossing up here. Oakridge Crossing has 3 things. It has a small amount of townhomes, which you can get in the 500s. They're gonna be 25, 30 years old by now. You can get small 2-story homes with a 1-car garage. These are gonna be like 1,700 square feet. And you'll get these in the 6s or low 7s. And then you're gonna get like your standard 2-story home with a 2-car garage on a 40 to 50 foot wide lot. And it's gonna be like 2,300 square feet. Those are gonna sell in the 800s, right around 800, 850. Most things in this area are built after the year 2000, so they're relatively more modern. And it's right across from Costco, so what's not to love there, right? Just below the train tracks right here, it's fairly similar, but they're just slightly more expensive. They're usually kind of more $850, $875 price range. And then if you go over here, this is a really cool area. So you see Hunt Club Drive. Okay, you buy on Hunt Club Drive, you feel like you're buying in a forest. Okay, like it's hard for me to even get drone footage of this area just because these tall, giant canopies over top of the neighborhood. So you're kind of shaded all the time. It kind of has a cottage feel to it, if you ask me. A lot of people have done a really good job to take old homes in this area and renovate them because the area has intrinsic value to it. People know that, and they put the money into it. So like, look at this house right here. This sold a little under $1 million, and the interior is just gorgeous. Like, they've really done a good job completely renovating this property and making it somewhere that you'd want to live. This house also had like an 80-foot wide lot as well. So you get wide lots, you feel like you're in a forest, and then some of them actually back on to London Hunt and Country Club, which is another pricey private golf course in our area. If you go up here, so above Hunt Club Drive, you get Fitzwilliam and Northumberland. These are giant homes, okay? So back in 2022, I was seeing some of these sell for like $2 million. They're very large homes. It's a totally different feel than Hunt Club Drive. And many of these homes are over 3,500 square. I mean, even the ranches, the 1-floor homes are like 3,500 square feet. It's not uncommon to see 5,000 square feet in this area, okay? Like on Google Street View, like look how big this house is here. Like that's a big house. It's a really nice area, and you're a little bit newer than what I was showing you over on Hunt Club Drive. These are 90s, early 2000s, and some of these, I think in another video, I was telling you how they remind me of like the Home Alone house. Like that Home Alone house that you see there, that's what you're getting on Fitzwilliam in Northumberland sometimes, okay? So if you want to be like the McAllisters, that's where you're going to buy a house, but you're going to spend $2 million. Okay, so last little bit to tell you about with Oakridge, there's two spots. There's just over here west of Hyde Park Road, and there's this big bulk right here. This big bulk is gonna be like approachable for a lot of people price-wise. This is gonna look a lot like Northridge. Remember when I talked about that? Probably 45 minutes ago by now, been yapping so long. That is gonna be very similar. You're gonna find 1960s, 70s ranches, side splits, bi-levels, those sorts of things. It's not uncommon in this area to find a nice little bungalow on a nice lot with a reasonable backyard for $625,000 or something like that. It's a really good area as well for first-time home buyers. If that's your price range, it's a perfect little starter home for a young family. Over here on the other side of Hyde Park, I want to talk about this area off Hastings. This is a really nice area as well, where you get late 90s, early 2000s two-stories. They're not as huge as Fitzwilliam in Northumberland. They're not that expensive, but they will be in the $1.1, $1.2, $1.3 million range. If you look on like Mapleton and some other areas around here, what is this, Hartson Core, like these are really nice homes, and they do connect to this forest back here as well, Sifton Bog. Also, you see this school right here? This is John Dearness Public School. This school is also one of London's best schools, but it's very small. Has a very small, what do they call it, a district, an area that it pulls from. Hastings Road in this is in that district, but basically it's just this little area. So if you want a school that's over a 9 out of 10 rating, this is a really good spot to live. For the rest of the schools in this area, there's Clara Brenton, and there's Riverside and a few others. Most of them are all pretty good. They're all average or a little higher, except for Oakridge Crossing has one, what was the name of it? Eagle Heights, that was it. It has a below average rating. But for the most part, all the schools down here, no matter where you go, is going to be good. And for secondary school, Oakridge Secondary is one of the best high schools in our entire area. Everyone wants into that district. Hey, it's Ryan back in the professional studio setup. Just a reminder that I do sell real estate in the London area, and if you need my help finding the property that's right for you, feel free to reach out. People call me from YouTube constantly. This is what I do for a living. I help people find homes, and I know so much about London, and I can help you as well. There's my phone number. Shoot me a text if you're looking to buy a property in the London area.